What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Shonen Showdown. It's Rob here. And listen, a lot of you guys asked me to talk about my personal top 3 new gen anime. So now that we're talking about the new gen anime, I kind of want to start off from the year of 2016. I feel like that is a good year to start from because if we go further back, it's gonna get ugly. Now, this was a very tough decision. So before I even get into my picks, I just want to say that if your favorite show did not make my top 3, that does not mean I think it is trash. All that means is that there's something that it was missing. Just for me. This is just my personal favorite 3. But before I get into my top 3, I actually want to talk about the shows that did not make it. Alright, so the first anime that did not make my top 3 was Promised Neverland. Now, I had high hopes for this series because Emma, Norman, and Ray formed one of the best trios I have ever seen. If we look at season 1, it was beautifully done. The characters were being well developed. You have Don, you have Gilda, you have Phil. All these characters were playing their roles well. You have the best trio coming through. You have Isabella, who is playing a great villain role. And there's suspense, there's mystery, there's excitement, there's adventure. And then comes season 2. Now, I'm an anime only when it comes to the Promised Neverland, which actually makes me happy in this instance because I believe season 1 was S tier, but then season 2 kind of became a B tier. Season 2 was kind of a little bit more confusing than season 1 because a lot of things were left out. Now, if you're a manga reader, I have complete understanding that you would hate this season because it got Tokyo Ghoul. So with that being said, it did not make my top 3. Next anime that did not make my top 3 is Boruto. Now, this is not trashing Boruto because I think that Boruto, especially acting as a continuation of the Naruto series, had so high expectations that it was hard for it to really even live up to those expectations. You're talking about coming straight off of one of the craziest wars in all of shonen anime from Naruto Shippuden. And now you're going to have to follow that up with Naruto's son. How is he supposed to live up to these expectations? How are we supposed to forget about our favorite Konoha 11 that we grew up with? And we have to find these new characters and become accustomed to them over time as well. It's a tough task to take on for Boruto. And I believe they dropped the ball in the beginning because there was a lot of filler. Now, if you're a manga reader for Boruto, obviously you love it. And obviously the anime has started to improve over time. But it did have that filler slip up in the beginning and it turned a lot of people off. So it's not in my top 3. Now, this next anime did not make my top 3, but I actually believe it's one of the most criminally underrated anime out right now, and this is Fire Force. I believe Fire Force has some of the most beautiful animation out right now. I love the setup, I love the characters, and you can even differentiate between all of the main characters, which is rare nowadays. The action is some of the most beautiful action we have ever seen right now. It is beautifully animated, beautifully choreographed. And if we even just talk about the uniqueness of the fire abilities, listen, this show is pretty much only sticking to mainly fire type abilities. But the amount that the creator is expanding on that and finding new ways to make fire fight fire is insane. It is one of the greatest shows out. It's beautifully done. The only reason why it's not in my top 3 is because there are some dull moments in the anime, but when those big moments come, they matter and you love them. Now, these next 2 shows are highly loved. If we're talking about the top 3 most popular out right now, they definitely would have a seat. But they did not make my personal top 3, not because I think they're trash. First up is My Hero Academia. Now, My Hero fans, relax. I actually really do like My Hero Academia. This is just me pretty much proving that my top 3 is top tier. Because if anything, I would have My Hero in my A tier. But if I'm talking about my top 3, I'm pretty much going right into my S tier shows that are new gen right now. My Hero is one of the coolest shows. It's obviously one of the most popular, and they're following a great marketing model. They have movies coming out every second, video games, merchandise. We know the whole 9 yards, right? This is my major problem with My Hero, and it has nothing to do with Deku as a protagonist because I actually like that it's different. It tries to bring something new. Deku is telling his own story, and we are watching it unfold from his memories. I just do not like the fact that a lot of characters in the show aren't developed. And you may be asking, what am I talking about? Now let's think about this for a second, because if I talk about shows like Naruto, and we talk about Naruto Part 1, if I ask you how Shino is as a character, you could tell me. If I ask you how Choji is as a character, you can tell me. If I ask you how Kiba is, or whoever, and these are people in the Konoha 11, you can tell me. But if I ask you how Rikudo Sato is, a lot of people would have to look him up. If I ask you how Ojiro's personality is, and how he would fare against many enemies, and what he likes to do, you couldn't really tell me. If I ask you about Denki Kaminari's backstory, what would you be able to tell me? We are now 5 seasons into My Hero Academia, and I feel like I barely even know the class. But it's not only just Class 1A. We have a whole other class in Class 1B that barely got developed. We barely even know the characters. There's other students from other schools that barely get screen time. There's quirks that are imbalanced. You have somebody that has a one-for-all quirk that can go all out, and then you give Invisible Girl no shot to hang with anybody. It catches me off guard. But it's not trash. My favorite hero in My Hero Academia is Lemillion. I'm a big fan of Mirio Togata because he proved that you can have a trash quirk and make it work for you and become one of the cream of the crop. But what ends up happening to him? He ends up losing his quirk. Now he's Eri's babysitter. A lot of these things are going on in the show, and it's not that I don't like My Hero. I have to say this again. I really like My Hero. It's just not top 3 because of these things I've been saying. Demon Slayer didn't make my top 3 either. And I'm gonna say this. I think My Hero is a better story than Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer was one of the biggest shows to come out in recent years. It did numbers. We know the movie didn't even open up to the rest of the world, and right now it's one of the top selling movies of all time in Japan. It's crazy what it's doing in terms of marketing and in terms of branding itself. Like, it's top tier when it comes to popularity and marketing. But when it comes to the meat and potatoes of the show, what is the story? Who's being developed? What is going on? What I'm pretty much seeing is just beautiful animation. That's what I'm seeing, what people are falling in love with. The story is not compelling to me because it's something that we have seen before. It's generic. The only thing that really intrigues me in Demon Slayer is Muzan, because Muzan is actually a really interesting villain. And we want to watch Demon Slayer to figure out what his motives are and what he's trying to accomplish and what he's doing. But other than that, I'm not really intrigued by the rest of Demon Slayer. And it does have some interesting characters, but the story itself just doesn't grab me. It doesn't grab me. Doesn't mean it's trash though. I will definitely still tune in for the next season, and I will definitely be watching the movie. Now that's a lot of time talking about the shows that did not make it, so you guys might be wondering, well, damn, Rob. I mean, if those shows didn't make it, who did? Which shows made your top 3? Coming in at number 3. Jujutsu Kaisen, one of the greatest new gen anime out right now. You know it and I know it. Stop lying to yourself. Now you may be saying, well, the story may not be as compelling, but the characters are. The animation is. And we are only in 1 season. Every single fight in JJK was crazy. You cannot point to one fight that was not amazing. You cannot tell me that the characters don't have great personalities and differences. They are awesome all throughout. The storytelling is phenomenal. We can even speak to Gojo, who is now a fan favorite after 1 season. He is a fan favorite throughout all of the anime community. That's hard to pull off in your first season, man. And he did it, and he's not even the main protagonist. This is what I'm saying about JJK. It is amazing. JJK is great. That's enough praise for JJK though, because it's not my number 1. At number 2, this one was tough. But I have Black Clover as number 2. I love Black Clover. I'm just gonna say it right now. I know it got a bad rap in the beginning of the series because it was done poorly in the first few episodes. Asa was screaming the entire time. There was some filler stuff going on. People were not rocking with it, and I get it because I too was one of those people. But if you were able to stick on Black Clover and keep watching, the story of Black Clover is so refreshing. It's really incredible to watch. I love the Asta and Yuno rivalry because it's done in a way where Sasuke and Naruto did not really have that luxury. We have not seen a duo this awesome since like Gon and Killua, to be honest with you. They have the ability to work together and still keep that competitive nature within them to get it down when it's time. I love the variety of the magic powers. It's easy to understand. It's unique. You have anti-magic, you have magic, you have arcane stages, you have the Clover Kingdom with all these different magic knight squads, you have the Heart Kingdom, you have the Spade Kingdom, Diamond Kingdom. Everything is just very unique, very awesome. It's a great show. The only knock I have on Black Clover right now is that the animation sometimes is inconsistent, but everything else is top tier for me. So at number 1, I have Dr. Stone. Yes! Dr. Stone, I absolutely love Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone is my favorite anime out right now, and let me tell you why. Every character in Dr. Stone is amazing. The animation is beautiful. The story is top tier. It's unique. There is not one episode of Dr. Stone that I have watched where I did not walk away from learning something or even being stuck to the screen because if I looked away, I would have missed a piece of the story that is crucial. Every episode is jam-packed with information that you need to keep watching. The story progresses very well. Senku is one of the coolest protagonists out right now because he has one of those tropes that I really love in my shonen characters, and that is trying to figure things out even when all the odds are stacked against you. That's what Senku does. But he does it in an interesting way where he fights people that mainly go off battle through science, and it's very interesting to watch. You just want to watch his story. He takes on the mission that never leaves the story of saving humanity without judgment, and that's dope to me. Listen, Dr. Stone is so refreshing to watch. It gives me a nostalgic feel even though it just came out. This show is top tier. It is the best, to me, out right now. But you guys let me know down in the comment section below. And listen, obviously, these are my top 3 favorites, but all of these shows that I have named, I am going to watch or I have been watching. And they are all fantastic shows. This is not me saying your show is trash by any means. This is just my personal top 3 new gen out right now because you guys asked me for it. So I'm going to let you guys know. And with that, I'll see you next time. Peace.